Irreverentes Hermanos Marx. Con el final de la Segunda Guerra Mundial llegó una nueva explosión de energía y optimismo. Los Estados Unidos volvían al trabajo y, sorprendentemente, también los hermanos Marx. La mayoría de la gente recuerda a los Marx por sus películas. Lo que pocos saben es que realizaron un trabajo más que sustancial en la televisión.
You know Allegro Pizzicato? No, I don't. You know Jimmy Pizzicato? Maybe you know Itsy Bitsy Pizzicato. None of the Pizzicato.
Chico fue el primero en explorar este territorio virgen, pero fue Groucho quien encontró el éxito duradero en este joven medio.
We sat in the audience, and Bob Hope was reading a script, and he was reading it with Groucho. I'd never seen Groucho before in person. And Bob dropped his script accidentally. So Groucho dropped his on purpose. And they talked for maybe 12 minutes or so, and very funny and not dirty.
Groucho, what are you doing out here in the desert?
Desert? I've been sitting in the dressing room for 40 minutes.
Groucho, excuse me a minute. I have to make an announcement on the air. Step into the studio with me, will you?
All right. You notice everybody in radio wears wooden shoes?
So after the show, I went up on the stage, and I introduced myself to Groucho and said, how would you like to go do a quiz show? And he said, well, I've flopped 3 times on the radio so far, and he had in variety shows. And I'll compete with refrigerators. I'll do anything you want.
He said, I would like to do a radio show, but I'll be damned if I'll do a quiz show. That's for idiots.
Thank you, thank you. This is Groucho Marx. Well, here I am, stepping in over my head again. Folks, this is just as new to me as it is to you. I've never done one of these shows before, but we've got several couples up here on the stage, a lot of people in the seats out front, and the doors are locked, so I've got to go through with it. Besides, somebody might win $1,000 cash at any moment. All I know is it can't be me.
Apueste usted su vida comenzó en la radio en octubre de 1947, con un formato reminiscencia de otros muchos programas concurso. Pero en su segunda temporada se convirtió en el éxito inesperado del año y conseguiría para Groucho el más alto honor de la radio, el premio Peabody al mejor animador.
He saw all his friends succeeding, Jack Benny and this and that, and he couldn't, and it really upset him. So when he finally did it himself, it made him extremely happy. This I know.
El programa pasó de la ABC a la CBS cuando apareció la televisión. Pero ¿podría Groucho hacer la transición a la televisión?
All right.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the secret word tonight is name. N-A-M-E.
Really?
You bet your life. And here's that sterling Elgin American, the one, the only...
What a ridiculous name. Oh, that's me, Groucho Marx.
Están viendo las primerísimas grabaciones televisivas de Groucho Marx. Esta prueba fue filmada en diciembre de 1949 y no se emitió nunca.
We knew we had to be on television eventually, and we wondered how we were going to do that. Will we just televise a radio show? So they decided they'd bring a camera in and on CBS, and we did the show, and during the show these guys took some pictures of us on kinescope so we could look at it.
Suppose I kiss her and you didn't know anything about it.
Well, I'd know about it.
Well, I guess I'm going to have to trap you. Howard, I'll bet you $1. I'll bet you $1 I can kiss your wife and you won't know a thing about it. Bet?
Okay, it's a bet.
Okay. Would you mind moving aside there? Just a moment. Well, you saw me kiss her, didn't you?
That's right.
I lose. Here's your $1, huh?
Oh, that isn't my wife.
Well, don't come and running to me with your troubles. Are you married?
Yes, I am.
You have any kids?
3 and I think 4, but soon.
When were you home last? Huh? How'd you lose your job?
Well, I was teaching someone how to drive, and I got a ticket for giving the wrong signal.
We had quite a talk when we went on television as to whether he should have the little black mustache and the whole thing, you know, like in the movies. And he says, no, you're a different man now. You are not the continuation of that fella.
The geniuses at the networks wanted him to do the show with that mustache painted on him and the eyebrows, and he refused.
Groucho Marx. In You Bet Your Life. And now, here he is, the one, the only...
Is that boar still hanging around? Oh, that's me. If any of them say the secret word, the duck will come down and pay him $100. The word tonight is pépin. That's the way you pronounce it in French. Pépin.
Bob Dwan, who later became the director of the Groucho Show and had been my boss in San Francisco, said, I didn't know you were in town, George. I'm doing an audition, and I'd like you to come down. This show may never make it. It's with Groucho.
We didn't know there was going to be any great chemistry. I mean, we didn't be able to think, oh, boy, there's a guy that's going to have the chemistry with Groucho.
You may fire and run.
You have to ask me.
Okay, what do you want me to say?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, George. That's some ad-lib, eh?
But you see, he's so dignified and straight. It's just right for Groucho. And he went to college, and Groucho didn't, and it was a great luck. That's what it was.
All right, you ready?
We did a routine, and I didn't realize I was ad-libbing, but in terror.
I've been getting a lot of mail recently from people saying that I don't like you and that I ride you on the show and everything. And you know that isn't true, George. You know I love you.
I didn't know that much.
No. If you were a woman, I'd have snapped you up long ago. I just want you to know that.
Well, I knew that. Yes.
You did know it, huh?
Yes. I mean, I knew you liked me in your own way.
Oh, how that man could embarrass me.
And it wasn't that he was really mean, but he could see the dark side of everything, you know. And he would get a lot of fun out of insults.
He said to me more than once, Bob, I have nothing but confidence in you, and very little of that.
I think one of the reasons he was kind of mean is that he had tight shoes, and he had insomnia, and he had stomach clothes all the time. He couldn't sleep at night, you know. He had a heck of a time. And it made him just kind of ornery.
His friend Goodman Ace had, I think, the best retort. He said there was a lot of action in the show, he said. Groucho opened his mouth and literate, witty words came out.
Who was the barbarian conqueror known as the Scourge of God? Scourge of God. S-C-O-U-R-G-E. Scourge. 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 Scrooge of God. What's the difference? They don't know it anyhow. They don't know it, and I can't pronounce it. It's a real classy quiz show we have.
We did extensive searching for contestants. We found them through newspaper stories, through letters that were written to us. It was a very popular show, and people wanted to be on it.
No, I don't think the people were intimidated by Groucho. They were proud to be on. The ones I felt sorry for were the contestants who thought they were funnier than Groucho, who wanted to do jokes with Groucho. And you could see it happening, you know. He'd let them go, and then, well,
There was actually a little sprinkling of rudeness to what he said, but he was the silly man saying it.
What makes you think just because a man is 5 inches taller than 6 feet that this makes him a man?
Well,
you know, it doesn't go by size. A man's size has nothing to do with his ability in any way. I'm trying to keep this on a euphemistic plane. Well, name one specifically.
Well, automobiles couldn't run without felt. Aeroplanes couldn't run. The girls in California have that new look by this...
You mean the girls couldn't run without felt? Well, a lot of them have felt and then run.
The question is, did Groucho have a script or did he ad-lib? And the answer is yes.
I don't know why, but people try to prove that our show was scripted. Well, if you ever worked with amateurs, you know that you don't give them a script the night of the show, and they're going to remember. What you want them to remember is when he asks you how you met your husband, tell him that story that you told me. Well, then, naturally, Groucho will know what that story is going to be, and he's got some ideas of what he's going to say, but it's not a script.
Los críticos estaban entusiasmados. El Radio TV Daily dijo: no hay ningún cómico en la profesión que le llegue a la suela del zapato a la agilidad verbal del hermano Groucho. Y ahí está el sabor de este nuevo plato visual. Solo ahora se sabe, después de ver estas recién descubiertas fotografías de escenas entre bastidores, que Groucho tenía una pequeña ayuda.
Well, and sometimes Groucho would get off on a tangent that we knew we would ever use on the show. And we're eating up this film, this 35-millimeter film. So but they figured they had to have some way to get a message to him out on the stage.
And so what we got, I remembered, was I'd seen him in bowling alleys, you know, that, which is essentially an overhead projector, which you find in every classroom nowadays. So there was nothing very mysterious about it.
It had this white glass with a light behind it, so you could see, and the silhouette, you'd see the words, and he could write backwards, and it says, jump to page 7, or
ask her where she met her husband, you know, and he would write down this. And Groucho, if he looked, he would see, and then he'd ask where she met her husband. And that moved the show along.
Well, in what way is your husband romantic, assuming that he is? Which I question.
Oh, man, have you ever been made love to by a Frenchman?
Not that I can recall. Oh, take him out and pass him around. You went to college for that, huh? Let's keep it this way now, nice and quiet and subdued, huh? All right. UCLA, 53.
Llevaba 45 minutos rodar cada episodio de Apueste Usted su vida, después de lo cual escogían los mejores 24 minutos para ser emitidos. La mayor parte del material se quedaba en la sala de montaje, pero con bastante frecuencia se salvaba algún momento muy especial de las tomas falsas del editor.
You're 30 years old, John?
I'm 50.
You're what? You're what?
I'm 50.
You're 30? Well, I...
Thank you very much. Would you like this?
We gave him a lot of help. We knew a lot about the contestants when they came up there, and we prepared a lot of material for him, but he was totally free to use that in any way he wanted, and so he could take chances.
What have you learned after being 25 years in politics?
Well, the old-fashioned way is still the best.
I must have some reputation, you know. There isn't anything anybody can say to me anymore that doesn't evoke some kind of a dirty laugh from the audience. What do you mean by the old-fashioned way?
Well, just...
And if they didn't work, he knew they would be cut out. He'd turn around to me and say,
Clip, here we go again.
And it was gone.
Well, now, suppose you became a famous actress and then you met somebody you liked and got married. Would you be willing to quit acting and be a housewife and a mother?
Well, I think if you keep your feet on the ground, you can combine both. That's what I would like to do.
Well, if you keep your feet on the ground, you'll never be a mother. That's what they call a waste of film.